God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And today, we're going to be talking about the producer's letter for March 2021, in which it's mostly all about Alpha 1. So we're going to look at this entire letter, discover everything in it, and talk about what this all means for all of us looking forward to the big day that Alpha opens up. Before we begin, I want to give a big, major shout out to the members of Napalm. You are the sponsors of this channel. I could not do this without you. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're interested in helping support this channel, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. And a very special shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Rayco, Bounty Code, and Ray Cooper. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Alright, so the newsletter for March 2021 starts off with the big word around the office lately is Alpha 1. Today we are going to dive into what Alpha 1 means, why it's important, and what we are doing to get there. We will list items that still need work prior to Alpha to give you an idea of what remains to be done. This is not a date for Alpha, but a high-level scope of work. So basically what we're going to be looking at during this newsletter, what it's going to take to get to Alpha, what kind of work do they have ahead of them, and it kind of gives us a really good look at what Alpha 1 really is and what we can kind of expect from it. Let's continue on with the newsletter. You no doubt noticed the subtle 1 succeeding the word Alpha. A more traditional Alpha would serve function over form, and some of the unessential bells and whistles would be excluded, but Pantheon Alpha will be different. Thousands of people will experience Pantheon for the first time in Alpha. We are in an era where certain expectations are set when it comes to a first hands-on look at a game. For better or worse, we do need to consider form as well. If resources are going into form and function, then we need to be judicious about which features are included at the start of Alpha, which are introduced later in Alpha, and which, if any, are left for beta. Let me also be clear that the goal is not for Alpha to be representative of launch ready, but Alpha needs to be much more polished than a traditional Alpha would otherwise require. Do not consider it early access. Unlike early access titles, only a small portion of the game's content will be available for Alpha 1, and several of its systems will only be available as a first iteration. That is where the 1 comes in. Alpha will have several phases like pre-alpha. The sessions will be longer, though, than the 3 to 5 hour sessions that have been the established norm for pre-alpha. In terms of planning, we have now scoped what we feel is essential for day 1 of Alpha. These day 1 essentials are all part of Alpha 1. The list of essentials is a big one. We know with our current team size that this would take some time to complete. So a big part of this year is exploring options on how to finish Alpha 1 in a reasonable time frame. Our current options are to add more resources or to de-scope some of the features for Alpha 1. A little of both will be done before the year is over. With that in mind, let's take a look at some of the features that are targeted for Alpha 1. This is not a complete list. Number 1, classes. We want to add the remaining classes. The groundwork is done for most classes, and they're ready to start receiving their ability sets. But there are a couple of unique functionality class abilities that require extra consideration. I'm looking at you, Ranger and Summoner. It is still possible that Alpha 1 will not launch with all classes. We'll have at least 9 of the 12. So this kind of gives us a little bit of insight. Break away a little bit and talk about this. So the Summoner, a pet class, right? Way more complicated than a lot of other classes with the pet, and the Ranger as well. Just a little bit more there. But first of all, of course, with Ranger, you got to make sure they die a lot. That's super important, right? And it takes a lot of tweaking to make sure that the Ranger dies plenty. That's a joke, of course, on it. Well, anyway, let's just move forward. Number 2, pets. This goes hand in hand with classes. Pets need to come back into the game in a scalable, sustainable way. Okay, so they have to actually put them in, not in like a, look, they work, there's pets, but in an actual way that matters, in a way that's going to impact the gameplay, etc. And that's, pets are, that's a whole big mess of worms right there. But anyway, number 3, NPC combat awareness. So better artificial intelligence, right? As many of you know, and as the video suggests that you're watching right now, I got to play and see where the NPC artificial intelligence is at this point, and it's pretty good. As a matter of fact, I would say in the demo portion we got to play in Castle Deviere, that the NPC behavior was what I would expect, right? It's pretty normal for MMORPG behavior. Couple of things I saw that were a little bit better, actually, but not Pantheon level of what they're going for yet, because of course they're going above and beyond on all this PvE things. Number 4, URP and networking. Big asterisk on this one. Let's come back to it after the list. Number 5, basic guild functionality. Now, I wasn't expecting this in alpha. I was expecting this probably in beta, but it looks like we will get to test out some basic guild functionality, which is a really cool thing, because we'll go ahead and start our guild in alpha. Now, it'll get wiped, and we'll have to redo it, but we'll go ahead and, because tons of you are going to be pouring into the game in alpha. So at that point, if they got some guild functionality, we'll go ahead and start our guild and start, practicing and seeing how it works, try to break their guild system and help them out with bug testing, all that kind of thing. And so we'll definitely get the Knights of Napalm rolling as soon as Alpha 1 launches. But number 6, perception system fleshed out. We've seen the basics. Time to add in the skill framework, Tome of Keeping, and Paths of Progression. So the perception system, as you know, if you've been following me or Pantheon Rise of Fallen, does work. They showed it off. I played around with it when I got to play the game. It's really cool. I like it, but there's no progression. We're not like getting better at it or skilling up in perception or anything like that. They just ping right now, right? So they ping for everybody, as far as I can tell, at least in most cases, right? They ping for, it's just very basic right now, as opposed to what the perception system is going to become. And if you want more information on that, definitely check out. I've got plenty of videos on the perception system on this channel. Number 7, harvesting and crafting needs to be fleshed out. So, wow, I didn't expect them to flesh it out for alpha. Like, as you can see, this is like a real old school alpha, right? Where the game is in a almost ready for launch. You know what I mean? Like, way closer than what we've become accustomed to, as they mentioned earlier in the newsletter. It's just a lot more fleshed out. So, having harvesting and crafting something that we can do is really cool, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. Number 8, banks need to keep all your loots. So being able to put stuff in your bank is going to be super important, especially in longer play sessions such as alpha, because when you die, losing your loot and having to, you're going to want to be able to bank some stuff so that you can go back and maybe have a little bit of extra gear that you can put on real quick. Maybe not as good as your main set, but something you can put on in order to help retrieve your body and that sort of thing. So I definitely agree banks need to be ready and active and working. Number 9, further refine acclimation. So more climates and atmospheres to be added, as well as more functionality for them. And that'll be a lot of fun to toy around and play with. By the way, guys, the acclimation system, as many of you know, with the crystals, and we were just getting our butts stomped by it. It was just really taking away our health. We had to be careful where we pulled. We had to be careful how we walked. It really changed the game. It was like a whole new layer to MMO social group gameplay, in my opinion. So seeing more of that is a great thing. Number 10, more work needs to be done on climbing. It needs skill-based functionality so you can improve in climbing, which I love that. Some other considerations are being tweaked along with it. Number 11, more dispositions need to be added. We've seen pyrophobic, many more are coming, and I agree with that. You could tell that a lot of the dispositions weren't in the game when I played it, and besides the pyrophobic, where the little spider guys ran away from the fire. Number 12, we would like to add the capability to load ability spell sets so you don't have to spend a ton of time manually selecting spells and abilities you have already saved to a loadout. So to me, it could be getting this a little twisted, right? But I see this as like when things upgrade, etc., they just automatically go on and that kind of thing. Number 13, the return of swimming. Yes, we need to see some swimming. Had forgot about it because my wife is terrified of water, and I've gotten so used to avoiding water in MMOs that I forgot that that was even a thing. Number 14, we need an LFG tool for people to find or fill groups. Very cool, and it will be interesting to see these iterations because the LFG tool will definitely evolve from alpha to launch, because as we know, they're not looking for a generic LFG tool, and by LFG, that is not instancing or anything like that. That just means to say I'm looking for a group, or to look for groups that have spots, or to look for specific roles, and whatever crazy new ideas they come up with for the LFG tool. Number 15, more factions are being worked on and implemented as we speak. More factions are a great thing. That's a huge part of Pantheon, and your faction reputation with the factions is so important in Pantheon, and that needs to be for a good PvE game. By the way, that's something that just gets pushed aside by way too many MMOs. It needs to come front and center again. Number 16, there needs to be some sort of onboarding for new players. We don't want to hold anyone's hand, but we do need a way to show players how to play, particularly with systems like crafting. I agree, and I have to say that I think for now, for alpha and beta, until launch comes out and we actually start in our starting city, I do believe that it's probably a good idea to use Castle Deviere as that option, because I think that was pretty darn good for showing new players how to play the game, but not feeling like our hands were being held. If at the very least they should use that as a basis, because I thought it was pretty well done. Number 17, more player and NPC models needed. Yes, that is actually true. They need work, they need to be refined a little bit, and they need more, for sure. Number 18, more animations needed. Absolutely, and I can't wait to see those. I've been looking forward to a huge animation update for a really long time, because a lot of people see the graphics that you're seeing now and they say, oh, that looks like crap. Well, the game does not look bad. If you think that, then what is wrong with you? It isn't the graphics that's the problem. It's the animations, and that throws you off. It makes things feel a little stiffer. Now, animations have come a long way, and they deserve a lot of credit for, I think it looks good, right? I would accept this. I'm not going to lie. I would accept the animations as is and be like, I don't give a crap. The gameplay is awesome, and let them fix that as they go. But, of course, Pantheon's going to try to get all ironed out and looking good. Number 19, more audio and better audio. So when they have audio, when there is music, it's very impactful, it's very good, and it sounds awesome. And the sound effects, all that, I loved it. But I have to agree, they do need more to go into alpha. Number 20, we are shooting for complete non-gray box zones for alpha 1 to represent a level 1 to 30 experience. The full zone list will be available closer to Alpha 1 launch. Alpha 1 will not be all of King's Reach, as we had previously set as an early goal. More zones will be added in later alpha phases, some of which you have already seen in early forms. Others will be all new. So very cool. We're going to get to see some new zones. We're going to see more, some of the other ones we've already seen, but without the gray boxing, with being complete with their in-house assets, etc. that they've made. Very cool. And also I thought something interesting about this very last one, number 20, was that this one kind of shows that Visionary Realms is willing to bend a little bit to make the players happy and also get to alpha to get more people in the game a little bit sooner, because originally they said that all of King's Reach would be available. Now some of you may be looking at this as a bad thing, like, oh man, now we're not going to get all King's Reach. I look at it as a good thing, because what they're saying here is it's more important for us to get the level 1 through 30 and be able to get more people in to test what we're working on. That's not just a big list, that's a really important list of things, right? These are very good things to have, and this is a big scope for alpha in this day and age, in 2021, etc. So being that they're able to say, look, it's more important that we get these things fleshed out and we test these things than, this personal goal that we have all of King's Reach available. And I think that shows a lot of guts, and also Pantheon kind of reading the temperature in the room and seeing that alpha needs to come fairly soon. Let's read the rest of the newsletter though. Some items may be missing from this list for a full alpha experience. Please keep in mind that this is only a list for Alpha 1. Day 1 of Alpha is very different from the last day of Alpha before heading into Beta, which will have the remaining features and content we have outlined in the past, such as all of King's Reach. So there we go. So King's Reach will be completed as we're playing Alpha, and I really think that's a good idea. Now, let's go back to that big asterisk of the URP and networking. Converting the entire project to a universal render pipeline allows for better performance, more advanced shaders, and simplicity in creating shaders. The networking component is in preparation to support the thousands of players we have coming in. The engine is complete and smashingly performant, but it still needs to be integrated. These are big tasks. They are going to take our lead programmer's attention for several months. So right now, Kyle and Rob are getting some tooling in place so that the rest of the team can keep working when he goes heads down into the universal render pipeline and networking stuff. This means that much of the progress will be in the code, and not stuff we can show on screen. The other work will still be being done in the background, but until the URP and networking are done, it will be difficult to show. This primarily affects pre-alpha testers and streams. However, there is a ton of content already prepared that we can show and test during that time. Just don't expect big zone reveals or anything like that until after the URP and the network updates are done. We will keep you updated with month to month with the status of the above items and more. Once we are certain of a date, we will publish it. We won't publish it until we are 100% certain of that date. So please don't expect to see a solid date soon, but do expect to see the progress as we move forward. And guys, as a VIP, as someone they've graciously let in to try out their Castle Debier experience in the case below it, I do have to say that when they set a date, so far from my experience and everyone I've talked to's experience, when they set that date, baby, that's when it's happening. Maybe a few minutes late, that's the worst I've seen so far, but man, when that date is there, I don't know how they do it in-house to know that they're ready, to be honest, with something like an MMO, but when they set a date, it has been dead on. So I know it sucks not getting dates and not knowing, and all we know is that Alpha 1 is like, that's what they're trying to get to in 2021. They may not make it in 2021, right? They haven't said that they would do it guaranteed in 2021. They said they want to, and that's the goal, and they're going to try, and they're going to do their best, and that's their entire focus this entire year. But it could, let's be honest here, it could go a little bit into 2022. I don't think it'll go much further, though. They know how important this is to get out fast, so they're really pounding it down, trying to get it ready. Now, we've got a couple more announcements here from the newsletter I want to cover. Welcome, Adam Mostel. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry if I did, Adam. We are pleased to announce a new designer has joined the Pantheon team. Adam, or Tiom, is a guild leader, hardcore raider, role player, and content locust. He comes to the team with over 6 years of experience overseeing critical operations in Fortune 500 companies, with a speciality for tackling complex process architecture and data management, melding his professional expertise with his background as a solo developer and creating stories as part of live events teams. Adams is excited to tackle his first Pantheon challenge in systemizing and propagating the complex web that is the perception system. Now, this made me really happy. We've got a guy who's going to dedicate his time to the perception system, a guy with a great reputation, the man for the job. They always hire the right guy, man, and he's just going to tear it up. And now we got somebody that's going to really, because that perception system is crazy, man. Check out videos here on the channel if you don't know about it. That's a game changer, man. I've experienced it several times now, and I'm here to tell you, it is probably the coolest innovation to MMO questing or exploring that I've ever seen. It's absolutely fantastic. But anyways, keep moving forward, and now for some pre-alpha test session dates. So we do have some new pre-alpha test dates coming. Here's what we know. Here's what it says. Thought we'd sneak this in here at the end of a somewhat meaty producer's letter. The next pre-alpha 5 sessions are scheduled for Saturday, April 10th, and Sunday, April 11th, 2021. These sessions will include Thronefast, Halnir Cave, Avendir's Pass, and new to pre-alpha, Black Rose Keep, and Fortress Debier. The classes available will be the Enchanter, the Dire Lord, the Rogue, the Wizard, and the Shaman. There have been massive amounts of tuning, fixes, and improvements for these classes, so expect a different testing experience. The focus of these sessions will be on combat tuning, particularly on itemization, and even more specifically on the stamina stat. We are looking for data on how gear is affecting your combat and how stamina is affecting your gameplay. Testers can select one of 2 5-hour sessions for both Saturday and Sunday. See the pre-alpha forums and check your email inboxes for more details on how to select your test session. If you're not currently a pre-alpha tester, you can still participate by selecting VIP Pledge, so you can still pledge in advance if you want to get in on this pre-alpha test. Now, thanks once again, they say, Pantheon readers, testers, and fans, we are getting there. 2021 is shaping up to be an incredible year for us all. We appreciate your continued support, suggestions, and company. Without you, this project would not exist. And this letter was from Ben Dean, of course, the project producer for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Guys, that was a ton of information that I digest. Probably the best newsletter we ever got, or producer's letter, I should say, I'm sorry. Probably the best one we got, because we're talking alpha. We're talking the road to alpha. We're talking about everything they need. We're talking about pre-alpha dates. We're talking about so much information here. They hired somebody new to focus on the perception system. Oh my goodness. I'm over the moon, guys. I cannot wait till we get to alpha. I'm excited about the next pre-alpha session. I'm excited about seeing the perception system. I'm excited about seeing more models get into the game and more animation and just everything, man. I want to see this game come together, and I am seeing it come together, and I hope you are too, and I hope you're as excited as I am about Pantheon Rise of Fallen. Please go support these guys, because the more support you give them, the more they can hire, and the faster this game's going to come out. We've seen this game start moving pretty freaking fast through 2020 and 2021, so we're moving on that. They've got so much pipelines, so much laid out to be able to design this game. Everything's coming along, in my opinion, absolutely beautifully, and they're not rushing it. This isn't like most MMOs where just slapping stuff together, testing it, okay, it's good, keep moving, go, 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 go. This is more of a, let's do it right. We only got one shot at this, and let's make this the MMO that people want to live in. They want to be here. They want to log in every single day, not because we give them some cheesy reward, but because the world is fantastic. It's social. They'll have friends there. It will be real, a real place that they want to be. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and leave me a comment down below. What do you think of all this information? There is so much to talk about here. So you pick a few topics or all the topics and let me know what you think in the comments down below, guys. And of course, hit that like button if you really want to help me fight the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming.